Hello, everyone. This is Ana Pacheco, SantaFe101.com. My guest today is from Union County. Her name is Rosie DeHerrera, and she is the owner of Big Country Realty. Rosie, do I have your permission to record this interview?
Yes, you may.
Well, good. Well, thank you so much. I don't know the first thing about Union County, so you can educate me about me and all our viewers here about the county itself. And then, do you live in the city of the town of Clayton?
I do, and Clayton is the county seat for
Okay.
Union County. So we have a beautiful historic courthouse located right in the center of town.
And so, is Clayton probably the largest town in Union?
Yes, it is. There's
How,
a lot of
how,
small,
how I'm sorry?
there is a lot of small communities that are around Clayton, but the biggest town is Clayton, and of course our population is 2,700 in the town and close to 6,000 in the county. So we're pretty spread out and have a lot of land per capita, for the individuals living in our area.
And I understand from your bio that you've been at this for at least 3 or 4 decades. You've been selling real estate in the area.
I got my real estate license in 2001, and in 2005 I purchased the business, and so I've been in the real estate brokerage business since 2001. But prior to that, I had 20 years of banking, over 20 years of banking. So that I come from that background, and so real estate just kind of fit really well with my background.
It was a
And
segue into that. That's right. Were you in
yes,
the mortgage area? Did you
yes,
work with mortgages?
I did a lot of things at the bank, but one of the things I did do was in the mortgage brokerage business. So I was familiar with the types of loans and the financing and that kind of thing, which made it easier to go into this type of business. A
And
lot better.
how large is your company? How many people how many associates do you have?
So we're small. We have two full-time associates and one part-time. And she has a full-time job until she retires, and she works on the evenings and on weekends. And any of us will work on weekends by appointment, but we are here, pretty much from 8 to 5, and two full-time brokers here in the office.
Okay. And so you were saying that you have that Union County, there's a lot of land per capita in terms
There
of
is.
actual population. So is that generally what you're selling, like ranchettes or tracts of land, or are there neighborhoods in Clayton that have just regular houses on blocks? What do you mostly sell out in your area?
We have most of our business is residential. However, because we're a small firm and people contact us, we do commercial property listings and sales, and we also do ranches. And so we've sold little ranchettes, 10 acres with a home, and then we've sold big ranches in the area. And when you come from a small firm, there's not too many brokers in our area. We get a taste of all of those different kind of properties to
And so
work with.
what would the cost of a ranchette, a home with 10 acres, what would that cost?
I can tell you that just at the end of 2019, we sold a beautiful 3-bedroom, 2-bath home with outbuildings, 10 acres. It had city water and natural gas and public electricity. And that property sold for about 170,000.
So about 17,000 an acre.
Pretty much, if it's got a home on it. Now, if you're talking about ranch land, that's a different type of sale, because here in our area, most of ranch land is grassland, and so it's valued differently depending on what improvements are on the property. So any acreage out in the country is anywhere from $350 to as high as $1,500 an acre.
But then again, you're probably going to have, you most definitely are going to have to dig a well.
Well, no, most of these places that are selling for higher per acreage, they have a well, they have a home with the septic system. Those are improved properties.
Okay.
Okay.
But what about raw land? Just out there. a big 40,000 acre stretch or something. There's nothing
Raw,
on there.
right, raw land is a little bit different because yes, you do have to bring the infrastructure into the property. And that requires a septic system, your electricity, rural electricity, and your well, which is very expensive in our part to dig a well and make sure it's all up and going. I see there's a lot of progression in the ranch owners where they are now starting to do more solar wells, solar heating in their homes, which years ago we never saw that. So it's a nice change, and some of these ranches are a little bit more progressive than some of our older ranches.
And so you're saying it's green energy that's coming into
Yeah,
your area.
yes,
Okay.
yes, it is.
And then before this interview, you were saying, because again, I was asking you about Harding County, you were saying that you actually, if you get a listing, you will actually sell property in Harding County.
Yes.
Tell me about a little bit about that area. If your area is rural, I'm assuming that's even more so.
More rural, that's right. And there's not too many ranches that come open out there in that area for sale. But we have sold pretty big parcels up in Hardin County, and we will go to Colfax County. We'll go in the immediate area. I don't like to travel too much, neither does my associate, but we'll go into Colfax County, list ranches, Hardin County. I also have a license for Oklahoma. So there's about a 60-mile stretch. We're within 10 miles of Oklahoma, Texas, and Colorado.
Oh,
That's
I didn't
where
know. I didn't realize that.
we're in the northeast corner of New Mexico. So we are 10 miles from Oklahoma, Texas, and Colorado. And so I have like a 60-mile stretch into Oklahoma where I will list and sell properties in Oklahoma. I won't go further than that. And then, of course, I don't have a Texas license. That's a whole different animal. So I have not ventured into getting a Texas license.
And so what's available in this 60-mile span of Oklahoma that you be selling?
Mostly little ranches. There's not too much inventory in residential property in those little areas. But we do, we have listed little ranches, and by that I mean, some 1,000 acres or less. And so between here and those 60 miles, we do have opportunities to list those smaller ranches.
And is land more expensive in New Mexico or Oklahoma, or are they about the same?
It's very comparable. We can use comps from New Mexico where we go into Oklahoma, and so do appraisers. They're able to use our comps. The land is very comparable in price.
And then in the town of Clayton, what is a residential home? What would, like if, like a home that's 20 years old or 30 years old, what would something like that cost?
Okay, well, our median average home price is $88,000. And I can tell you that all of our residences here in the town are located on more than one lot. So you have nice, spacious lots that these homes sit on. The typical is 2 lots, which gives you 50 feet by 140. And so people like that they're not right next door to their neighbor. There's room there. We have a lot of homes that are located on 4 lots. And so you have a nice big yard at that point, and you're definitely not very close to your neighbors. So, we just have a lot of our inventory, though, is older than 20 years. We have a couple of subdivisions here in our area that were built in the late 1980s when the Amoco boom was strong here in Union County. And so there were homes built in the late 80s. And those homes are probably the newest homes. There's not a lot of building going on here.
And what would those homes cost if they became on the market?
I would say under 200,000. And they're nice, spacious homes with nice big lots in these subdivisions.
And you were saying a minute ago that like some people are lucky they have 4 lots together. Would 4 lots be like 1 acre, or what would that be in terms of
Would
size?
be, would be about half an acre,
Half an acre.
yeah. Which, you know, when I go to the city, when I visit Albuquerque and Santa Fe and those areas, I look at how close the houses are built, and we're just very fortunate that you know we have the property, the land here, where homes aren't right next to each other.
Right, that
Uh,
I live in I have a third of an acre in my backyard, and it's way too much for me. It's like, oh
yeah,
my God, I don't need that much land to take
yeah.
care of. It's a lot. So I'm lucky in that sense, and I'm here in Santa Fe, but I've been in the same home for almost 30 years, and that's probably why.
Okay.
In terms of architecture, do you have old adobe homes there, or is it more frame housing? What type of architecture would you find in Clayton?
We have very few Adobe homes, and those homes have probably been my biggest higher priced sales, the Adobe homes. You know, we've had like maybe I would say a handful of Southwest type Adobe homes that have been maintained, and they have in the past been the highest selling properties. Most of our homes are frame and stucco.
And when you say they've cost the most, like what did they average in price, those old Adobe?
Well, see, in Santa Fe, you wouldn't hear of this, but they've gone for 200,000, maybe some a little less, some a little higher, but nothing like you have in Santa Fe that go for 300,000 and 400,000
Oh,
dollars.
more than that now. We
Yeah,
don't even talk about Santa Fe real estate
yeah,
right now. And so is Clayton a place, are there a lot of retirees going to your area or?
yes, there is. We have good medical facilities here. Um, we have medical clinics, we have a hospital, and we have a small airport that little jets and helicopters uh, stop and will gas up, and sometimes they come and visit and want to eat at one of the restaurants. There's an old historic hotel here, Eklund Hotel, that has a lot of history, and some people have flown in to eat there and spend the evening there. And so, but we do have a lot of things that attractions that I think um, have brought people here to our area either to visit or to live. And we have a wonderful lake that provides hunting, hiking, boating, wildlife. We have at this same lake, there is a stargazing. There's been very expensive equipment set up there for night skies because we have clear night skies. And I guess our most recent attraction is the fact that there's 500 tracks of dinosaur tracks uh, found here at our lake area, and it's been improved for tourists to see, and I think that's a big attraction. There's also people that come from all over Canada, from different places out of the United States, and they come between October and March for the bird migration. You can find bald eagles, you can find just different types of birds. So that lake attracts just a lot of different type of interests.
And what's
And
the name of the lake?
Clayton Lake State
Clayton
Park.
Lake.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And in
So
terms of getting back to retiring there, and you're saying that you have clinics and different things, because most usually elderly people, they need to have access to good medical care. You have a hospital, that's good.
yes,
How far are you from, what is the closest bigger city?
yes, we're 2 hours from Amarillo, Texas. And
Okay.
so we tend to migrate there for more specialty type medical facilities. And because Santa Fe and Albuquerque are further than Amarillo, and so and Amarillo, Texas is a large city, and they have every specialist that imaginable there if you need to go to a specialist. So we're very close. And typically, if you have to be flown out of our hospital here for anything major, they will fly you to Amarillo, Texas. because there's some big hospitals there.
Well, that makes sense. If you're only 2 hours away, that would
Yeah.
be a lot closer than trying to get to Albuquerque or
Yeah.
Santa Fe. So you were saying before this interview that, you have, like the rest of the state, like the rest of the country, I'm hearing, you have a very low inventory right now. There's just not a lot of houses on the market. What type of activity are you seeing? Where are people moving from to your area?
It's a variety. I've seen in the last year, I've seen people from Arizona, from California, a couple from New York, Fort Worth, Texas, Oklahoma City. All of those areas have bought properties here, and they're coming from larger cities. And honestly, they see our listings on Zillow and on Realtor.com, and we probably answer. I spend 45 minutes every afternoon answering emails of people sending, emails saying that they're interested in certain properties that they see online. So I would say that's our biggest type of advertising right now.
And do you get people that have like a wish list? They might contact and say, I'm looking for blah, 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 blah amount of acreage with this on it and that. Do you get people with like a wish list and then you just kind of put them in a tickler file and get back to them if that becomes available? Or
I do. That's the only way you can handle people like that, because sometimes you do get these people that will say they want a minimum of 10 acres, they want a home on it this size. I'll tell you another problem that we have in our area, or a problem we have in our areas. We are short on rental property. So, it's a great place to invest in some homes here. And then we also offer property management here at our office. And we'll take care of the properties by renting them out. And it's a great place for that type of investment, because our inventory for rentals is extremely short.
and why is that?
Well, and back in 2008, there was a 600-bed detention center built here about 8 miles from Clayton. And that detention center hired 260 people, I believe. It's a 600-bed facility. And, when you have a detention center with that many people, you have a constant turning of the employees. And so there is always a need for rentals for those people that are coming in. Very few of them are able to buy. And so our rental inventory stays 99% occupied.
And do you have apartment complexes, or is it just homes that are rented out?
We do have a few apartment complexes. They are always full. What we handle here in office, I mean, we're a small property management office, of course, but we handle about 35 rentals. And there's such a need. We get calls every day, and I have applications, waiting for housing to open up. And we have, we send them to public housing. We send them to the nonprofit. There's a nonprofit housing unit here, apartments. So we check with them all the time for empty units, so that we can, make sure that people that are moving into the area, if they want to rent, have a place to go.
And what about Airbnbs? Do you have that in Clayton? Is there much a tourist attraction that brings in that type of accommodations?
We do. That picked up a couple of years ago, and there have been some local investors who have purchased homes and done some upgrades, and they put them on Airbnb. And my understanding is those Airbnbs are staying 99% occupied. And I'll tell you why. US 87, Highway 87 runs right through Clayton. So you've got Colorado people driving through, Texas people driving through, and a lot of people will stop here and want to spend the night before they go either onto Colorado or onto Texas. And these Airbnbs are also turning out to be good income for these people that have invested in those.
And you were saying that there's not a lot of new construction going on in Clayton. If somebody was watching this interview and they're thinking, hey, maybe I'll build an apartment complex, or I'll do something with as an investment, is that a possibility, or why is there not a lot of new construction going on?
You know, I have contacted contractors that I know of, and I've begged them to look into building apartment complexes, new ones in our area, because I tell them we could rent them in a heartbeat. What they're telling me is that Clayton is the closest area to go for supplies is Amarillo. That's a 2-hour drive. And we do have two lumber companies here, but they're smaller. And the contractors are saying, are telling me that sometimes when they check into the figures of what it would cost to build and all the red tape in New Mexico with the regulation and licensing commission, that it's sometimes not cost feasible. They would have to rent the apartments for really, really high. And, you know, I don't know if at that point, if they're just backing out at that point, saying, you know, we don't know if we could get $1,500 for a 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment. And I can't, you know, promise them that, but I really feel that this area is rich and ready to have some nice new apartment complexes go up in our area. I think they would be filled, and I just wish we could find a contractor, take that risk.
And then I
Maybe
was gonna ask you, but you kind of, what about, so zoning, all those issues, those are hassles? I guess I don't know much of anything about it, but
not city zoning. I'm the contractors that I've talked to, some of them are from Texas, and they would come in a heartbeat, except they don't like dealing with the New Mexico regulation. The regulations are just cost prohibitive for them in New Mexico. They can go 10 miles into Texas and build a huge complex for a lot cheaper than they can come into New Mexico and build one. And they're saying it's because of New Mexico regulations,
okay.
building regulations.
So what if an investor wanted to build maybe 2 or 3 homes? Would that be the same hassle?
No, I think spec homes would be a lot easier. And I honestly wish we could get some new homes built here, because I think we could sell them really quick. I just don't, you know, the local contractors, and we don't have many, they have their hands full with what they're doing right now and staying busy. None of them have time to step out of their comfort zone and build spec homes. But I say we have the land where homes could be built. We have the subdivisions with the infrastructure already there. It would just be nice to be able to have a contractor come up here and look at our land and talk about building some homes.
Well, maybe somebody will have watched this interview and they'll say, you know, I'm going to take a chance on Clayton. Yeah. Well, you know, I told you this was going to go fast. Our time is up. Is there anything that you want to say? Again, I know that you could, I mean, you can sell property in Oklahoma. You can sell property in Harding County and some of the others. What was the other one you told me? The one that Raton is? It's
Colfax County.
Colfax County.
Yeah,
So you're so the good thing, if anybody's watching this, they'll know that they could contact you for other areas, surrounding areas. Is there anything else you'd like to say before this interview ends that might be helpful?
Yeah, I just want people to know that our area has a rich history of Western. You know, we have a rich history of the Santa Fe Trail. We have a hotel here who still has bullet holes up in the ceiling and on their bar from the early 1900s. We have the history of a train robber that got hung here in Union County after he was caught.
Well, that's Blackjack Ketchum, isn't it?
Blackjack Ketchum.
That's a big time. You know, that's the most horrific example of public execution in the country. I mean, that's a big, I forgot about that. Blackjack Ketchum, yeah.
Was captured here and was hung right here.
He was decapitated is what happened.
He was.
I know.
There's pictures of this hanging right there at the
well, let me tell you. So in addition to doing this, I'm the author of 8 books on Santa Fe, New Mexico history. The last book I wrote in 2019 was Death Rituals of New Mexico. And I have the photos of him at the scaffold. And then when it goes wrong, and I have the photos of his body underneath and his head hanging.
Yes. Isn't that terrible?
I forgot about that. And Clayton, thanks for reminding me.
People find it interesting, but there's, I would like to encourage people to come look at our area. And because I think we have a rich history, Western culture, and There's a lot to do here, a lot to see. We have a wonderful museum, and it's a great place to live as well. It's
Now,
a very nice community, quiet. We take care of our neighbors. We're just all about, watching out for each other.
and it's economical
Yes,
in terms
very
of
economical.
in some of the other counties here. Again, Rosie, I want to thank you so much, and hopefully people are going to contact you because you can service more than one county in New Mexico, even Oklahoma. Thank you again.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.